Greetings all, I am Carrie DeYampert-Grider, and today I am going to demonstrate for you a cornbread recipe. This cornbread recipe is dairy-free and it is animal-free, so to speak. So I want to mention that this recipe is coming from a program that I participated in with Tracye McQuirter. It was 10,000 Black vegan women, and we had a 21-day vegan fresh start. So I am using her recipe today. Since I've changed my diet to plant-based whole foods, I have been searching for a recipe that will give me that good old-fashioned cornbread that I'm used to, that good southern cornbread. So today I'm going to try this recipe and see how it turns out. The ingredients for this recipe are 1.5 cups of yellow cornmeal, 1/4 cups whole wheat pastry flour sifted, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, 1.5 cups of unsweetened soy or almond milk, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1/3 cup of maple syrup, and 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon of safflower oil. Once you pour the batter into the baking pan, bake it for 45 minutes or until a fork, well, let's use a toothpick, until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Okay, so let us begin. In a medium-sized bowl, I am going to mix my yellow cornmeal in this bowl, and I like to use the wire whisk because it just seems to aerate the ingredients. It mixes them in really well. So let me mix this in. And this is the cornmeal and the 1.4 cups of whole wheat pastry flour. I find that this recipe isn't so different than some of the other recipes for cornbread. It uses the pastry flour, which makes it's a finer whole wheat flour, but you're getting more of the grain, the whole grain. Okay, so now after I mix together my flour and my cornmeal, now I will add the 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And I'll mix this up really well together, so we won't have just in the cornbread one spot tasting like baking powder. That's not very tasty. I've had that happen before. So we want to avoid that. I think it's mixed in really well now. So next I will add in the 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. You get a few more minerals with your sea salt. So I'm using that and mix that in really well together. Being from the South, you know, we just have to have cornbread. I like cornbread with certain things. And I miss it since I'm not making cornbread with eggs. So I've tried cornbread using some substitutes. But I'm going to see how this one turns out. Okay, now that I've mixed those dry ingredients together very well, in another bowl, I'm going to mix my wet ingredients. So now I'm adding the 1.5 cups of the milk. And to this, You know, the buttermilk is what makes cornbread taste so good. But since I'm not using buttermilk, I'm using the apple cider vinegar. And that will cause this milk to kind of coagulate a little bit, making it more like buttermilk. And that's the effect that we want. Now I will add the maple syrup. And blend this in very well. Maple syrup is a good substitute for sugar. It's a little bit healthier for you as well, if you like your cornbread sweet. And I have to admit, many of the recipes that I've tried, some type of sweetener has been used. And now I will add the 1/4 cup of oil. This helps with the flavor, and it also helps with the browning process. I failed to mention at the very beginning that before you get started, you want to preheat your oven to 350 because you do want to bake this cornbread in a 9x13 pan, baking pan. You will use 1 tablespoon of the oil to coat the pan, which I have already done. And so I am going to mix the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients together now. You want to mix very well so that you get rid of any lumps that may have developed once you added the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. I'm going to get my whisk again. You can use a larger spoon than the one that I'm using right now, but I'm going to use my whisk, and I'll probably use the spoon too. But this helps me to really get the bottom scraped so that I won't have any dry spots in the cornbread or in the batter. Oh, this is looking good. It smells pretty good too. Let me just check. You want to stir until it's well blended. No dry spots, no lumps. And with that yellow cornmeal, it's a little finer and it will give a really nice golden color to your cornbread. Now that I've gotten it all mixed in together, I am going to pour it into my pan. I'll scrape the sides of my bowl, making sure I get all of these good ingredients. I can't wait for this cornbread to be ready. Now, the good thing about cornbread, too, you can make up a nice batch of it and freeze it. And then when you want cornbread, just get it out of the freezer. You don't have to cook all the time. As you see, this is a pretty simple recipe, as most cornbread recipes are. Some can be a little bit more involved than others because they may have a few more ingredients than this one. So I'm just going to shake my pan gently to make sure that it is evenly distributed in the pan. And I am going to go put this in the oven, but I want to show you what the finished product will look like. And there you have it. Whole grain, plant-based cornbread with no dairy. Would you like a taste? Let me taste it. It's good. It's a little sweet for my taste though, but it's good. It has good body. That's one of the things I haven't been able to achieve in some of my other recipes because of not using eggs, but this has a good body. Thank you.